So here we are. We're having. I'm looking forward to this interview because as I wrote on the card before I got here, Layne, entrepreneur, trailblazer, Layne Talent Incorporated from Canada. I thought this is going to be intriguing because a one-namer. Layne.
Yes.
Welcome. Oh, but the other thing too, it says The Auctionista. And I went, this is just getting more intriguing by the moment. Okay, so because maybe not everybody knows what you're doing, you've been doing this for a long time, right? How long?
Yeah, been in the gig about 14 years now. And I was a late bloomer, Bryn. Late bloomer. I started doing this when I was 46, so do the math.
Well, I'm a certain vintage as well, so we don't have to go down that road. Okay, let's explain everything. Like, how did you get steered in this direction?
Oh, that's a huge story in itself. I just completely fell into it.
We're here all day.
Yeah. Well, I could do a masterclass and full day discussion on how I became the auctionista, but I simply fell into it. And I'm going to talk about that in my keynote speak. Bidding to be the best is all about how I, broke that male stereotype of auctioneering.
Yeah.
And, and also as a non-binary person, what that meant as well, going into that space and also navigating the event space as a non-binary person in a seemingly binary world.
Right.
That has been a journey unto itself. But it's been 14 blissful years. I'm a fundraising auctioneer. I'm a professional show host and speaker.
Right.
And my passion is raising money for charities, which I feel so passionately about because I know that makes our community stronger. I know, Bryn, that changes lives. I see it with the charities that I work with, and it's astounding. As a non-binary individual who's very much involved with the LGBTQ2 plus community, I see folks on the margins all the time,
right?
Vulnerable folks and, folks living on the fray and on the outside. And I mean, that can apply to many different kinds of individuals as well. But when we can support those folks and those of us who can do something, my goodness, we can help propel somebody's life.
From where you started to here, wow. I mean, things have changed so dramatically. How do you feel about that time space? And then we've also had to go through the pandemic. We'll get to that in a second or so, but a lot's happened here since you've been doing this. It's amazing, is it not?
Yeah, well, it has been because, when I started Bryn, I had there was no baseline. There was nobody doing what I was doing. I mean, every charity auction that I was trying to get involved with said, "Hey, Layne, don't worry. You know what? No, we're good. We have an auctioneer, and we get them for free." Or the board chair does the auction. And, I went to auction school. I developed my craft.
Right.
I was a former financial advisor, so I'm a numbers kid from way back when. I'm all about revenue and how we're going to get there and building retirement plans, which is the same thing as building revenue for a charity. But my auctioneering career has gone from one event that I did for free in year one to now, I think all told at this stage, over 1,200 events, millions raised, and I couldn't be more proud.
See, you use the term, and I love it, career. Sometimes people think, that's just, we can get Uncle Harry to do that, or we can get, so-and-so, like you said, maybe whoever ran the business might come out from the office and do that kind of stuff. But this is a job.
Well, exactly, Bryn. And I say to people, does your plumber cut your hair? No. So, Uncle Harry should not be running a live auction.
I don't know where that came from, but whatever.
But you know what I'm saying? Uncle Harry we need professionals that know what they're doing to do the job. And at a charity gala, it's all about the revenue raising. So your live auction, your donation ask, these minutes raise the most amount of money at that event, and they're critical.
I was at an event not long ago. Well, actually, I come to think of it, because of the pandemic, it was a long time ago. It seems like that, where somebody felt that the auction was a throw-in, and I went, it's not a throw-in. This is where it happens. Now, the one thing I saw, a philanthrotainer.
Yeah, baby.
Another word I loved when I was looking at your bio here, a philanthrotainer. Break that one down for me.
So the further I got into my career and I developed my craft and my style,
right,
the more I realized that I cannot be, tagged as an auctioneer. Sure.
Right.
In essence, Bryn, I am selling the live auction.
Right.
But in essence, for who I am, my style and my purpose on stage is I combine philanthropy and entertainment. So I combine and mash those two things up to bring the best possible experience for the donor, the best possible results for the charity, and for me to have the best possible time on stage.
Got to have some fun up there. Now, here's the other thing, though. I'd wanted to be a broadcaster since I was a kid. So, for me, I was kind of going down a path. But I'm always fascinated to find out what was the click moment that made you want to become a philanthrotainer. You got to think about that stuff.
Right. Well, like I said, I totally fell into it. And as I'm going to share in my keynote tomorrow, I went to my very first charity gala dinner.
Okay.
15 years ago.
Right.
I was 45 years old. I had never been to one. And I don't know, it just, I'm a kid of European immigrants, and, I don't know, my life didn't go down that road. I was never exposed to that. But a friend of mine was the executive director of a women's shelter.
Okay.
And said, Layne and my spouse Sue, come on to our dinner gala auction. I thought, great, okay. I don't know what this is going to be.
Right.
I walked in, I saw all this merchandise on the tables, and we sat and had our dinner, and then it happened. He strutted and came up to the podium, and it was the auctioneer. And of course, I must say honestly, I didn't know at the time that he would probably likely have been a livestock auctioneer. I wouldn't have known that. But I was an audience member. I was somebody sitting there, and I felt completely jarred. I felt a little scared at times. He was quite aggressive, and he was pumping through the bicycles, the TVs, the art, the Afghans, the this, 120 items. 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
He was completely annihilated at the end of this, and I felt completely, like I said, jarred and taken aback, and I thought, there has got to be a better way. That did not feel warm and fuzzy. That did not feel inspiring. So I turned to my wife and I said, Sue, I'm telling you, I can do that. I can do that. And I walked up to him, and here was the moment. I said, how do I learn to do what you just did? He looked me up and down and he said, hey, little missy, this is a generational job. And those 8 words, Bryn, changed the course of my life.
Nothing like having people feed the fire.
Well, there is so much built into those 8 words, along with gender discrimination, demeaning. There is a lot that's built into those 8 words. But for me, that sparked a fire. And I thought, okay, I'm going to check this out and figure it out. And 6 months later, I went to auction school.
And here we are. So now tell me, over the last 3 years, where things have changed so dramatically with the pandemic, how much has it changed for you?
Well, it did significantly change. I mean, like all of us in the event business, everything went dark. We didn't know how to proceed.
Right.
We basically had to, we used the word pivot, but we had to basically rebuild, revision, and reimagine what online fundraising could and would look like.
Right.
So I was very fortunate to get involved right on, very soon after the pandemic hit. By May, I was doing my first virtual auction with a charity in New York. They were broadcasting from New York. I was, in Hamilton at home, and we created a space where people felt welcomed, excited to still donate to their cherished charities, and we raised a lot of money. So from there, it just catapulted, my career on the virtual side of things expanded hugely. I learned so much during that time about AV and tech.
Oh, yeah.
Created new fundraising strategies and how to raise money differently. And I also realized I love being behind the camera. I love it. So it was a very natural place for me to be. It didn't matter that I was looking into Deep Space Nine down a hole of a camera. I just really envisioned the donors being there, and I'm talking to 300 and 500 people, and I'm feeling them. And it sounds crazy, but I did.
So we're getting back at things here and talking to various people who've already been speaking. They say they're getting that charge back. They're getting that energy, that life, that currency, I guess, is surging through their body. You feel that same way?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's nothing more visceral than human connection, right?
Yeah.
So, there is nothing to compare that to. There is nothing that takes the place of that. When humans connect heart to heart, that's when the magic happens. That's when the benevolence happens. That's where the relationship building happens, and that's what we all want as human beings, right?
I know that there's a source of pride in what you do because when you go and you work with various organizations, you're helping them generate funds. Do you keep a tally? Do you know how much you've been able to contribute and help organizations through your career?
Yes, I do.
Will you give me the number?
Sure, I will.
Okay.
And I'm also going to say
yes,
that I work with all kinds of organizations. I work with small, medium, large, national.
Okay.
And that's really important to me because I think that every organization should have the opportunity to have the best fundraising possible. So I think that we're in around that 25 to 30 million mark.
Wow. Mm-hmm. It's impressive.
It feels good, Bryn. It feels, I'm really proud. To me, I think about all the folks that have been helped.
So how do you set the bar higher as we move ahead? Like here at Go West 23, everybody's excited about what's next. So I guess the question is, what's next?
Well, what's next for Layne is, continuing to do the fundraising auctioneering. I mean, I love that.
Right.
It's just part of who I am. I can't ever imagine myself not doing that. Maybe at 75, I might pull back a little bit. But, continuing to build my speaking and sharing more of my personal story, Bryn. I think after all these years, people have really seen the professional side of Layne. And so now I'm going down a different road and opening up a little bit more about my personal story,
Gotcha.
About my personal journey and some of the, some of the hurdles. Because I think, we all, life is not easy for any of us, right? So it's very important to share stories because if you see it and you hear it, then you know that you are being heard as well.
Right. Thanks for your time today. How can people get a hold of you?
Layne at auctioneista.ca.
That's pretty easy. I feel embarrassed because I should have shined my shoes because they're just not going to. Your shoes those are great shoes.
Well, thank you. They're a little patent leather situation.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Not great for the Edmonton cold.
No.
A little crackety crack, but I gotta.
I'm going to have to get a shoe mitt or something.
You can work on that, Bryn.
Yes, I think it's totally doable. I'm upset. Hey, thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
Fantastic stuff.
Thank you.
All right.